Hello, besties. What I wanted to share with you today is not what I typically talk about, right? I don't know if you know this, and if you are a neurodivergent, you probably know this, that I am a neurodivergent. And I have had quite the joy in understanding it and quite the frustration and whatever, and a lot of conversations with people who go like, everyone has a little bit of ADHD. Anyway, so long story short, I'm usually like, I'll have random and bursts of energy and thoughts where I'll be like, oh, did anyone ever think about this? Or like, oh, wait, hold up. And then I'll go on Chat GPT and I'll have this long ass discussion, right? And I'll be like, oh my God, holy shit, that totally makes sense. So I had one of those moments right now. And I generally don't talk too much about neurodivergence on YouTube or Instagram for that matter. But I want to share with you guys something really cool. And this is two parts. So one of the things I'm going to talk about is neurodivergence and its relation to a spiritual awakening, or just like a more on the spirituality, how much easier it is comparatively for someone who's neurodivergent to be get on the spiritual journey quicker, maybe earlier on in their life. And the other part is that, did this shit always exist? Because a lot of times we hear people talking about how ADHD is just something that everyone has. It's just an attention span thing. That's what they think, right? That it's an attention span thing. So I went ahead and I did some little digging, and I'm going to share with you also about how neurotypical brains and neurodivergent brains, how both those people played an integral role in building the society, even back in history, and why it's not about an attention span thing. That's my freaking bird. By the way, we have two macaws. They're very cute and equally really annoying sometimes. And that's okay. So if you hear like like a really loud sound, just know that. Anyways, what was I saying? So it's not an attention span thing per se. It's rather a different way of thinking, a different way of perceiving the world, a different way of experiencing it, right? So if someone goes like, "Oh yeah, I just can't focus either. I struggle with focus so much. I totally have ADHD too," and that's the only freaking thing they struggle with. Like, just quiet, okay? Anyways, I'm sitting on the floor because my general spot is literally right behind the wall that separates me and the birds. And thinking, A, this is not very comfortable, and B, the birds are still birding. Let me see if I can get a cushion here. I'm sitting on a cushion now. And so let's talk about this. So the first question that I had was, what is it with neurodivergent brains and having a deeper sense of knowing, or at least a curiosity about how conventional shit is just too conventional, and why is it that way? And a rejection of norms, or maybe a lack of relatability to the norm. Because you see that in the society, there's, at least for me, the experience has been like, I see a lot of people and I'm like, wow, these people just follow the norm. They just do things because that's what everyone does. And that was never a naturally occurring thought for me. That was never a naturally occurring like, oh yeah, maybe I should do that. I was always like, why? Why, bro? Why? And I got in a lot of trouble for that. I got in a lot of criticism for that. But I was always like, like, I just don't think that way. That was my full argument. I refuse to think that way. And it's like, and a lot of people would not understand. They would be like, what do you mean? Because what I've noticed as one of the biggest differences is that I just tend to think that nothing is that deep. I've always thought that grades aren't that deep. A degree isn't that deep. If my brain does not think that something is important or relevant, then it's just not that deep. You can force me all you want. Like, when we were kids and everyone was all about, oh my God, I need to bust my butt to get like a star or this or that, and I need to and also the other thing I felt was like I never quite fit in. I always felt like people around me had this instruction manual to life that I didn't have it. And they were doing these normal things so effortlessly, and I was like, well, it didn't naturally occur to me to think that way, or it didn't naturally occur to me to perceive stuff that way. And it seemed like for a lot of people, it was pretty natural. And then when I would be in classes, it would be like shit. Sometimes things just didn't make sense to me, the most simple things. And I would be like, huh? Like, why? Like, freaking geography. Like, oh, why did we have to study that? Anyways, so out there. What was my point about? But I'm really excited about this video, right? Because it's like, I'm just like, I just want to share this, right? Not like, it's just like, at this point, I feel like my YouTube channel for me, the idea is that listen to me tell you about things that I'm excited about. Period. By the way, speaking of excited, do you guys want to see something really cool? Hold up. Ooh. I made my vision board for this year. It's bigger than me, obviously. And I don't know if it can fit in the camera. Because by the way, I can't see my own face when I'm recording it like this. But it's pretty freaking cool. And it's a very personalized vision board, meaning I have cropped my face in some pictures and edited my own self in certain images to bypass the subconscious and shit. But it's like that. And if you do want to learn, it's a big part of when I was doing my year starting manifestation shit. It's a big part of that to personalize a vision board. It's not, I don't even call this a vision board, by the way. I call it my life's mood board. This is just memories I've collected over the year, and I've wired that in so deep that it's so true for me. And if you do want to learn how to do that, link below somewhere in the comments, no description, where you can sign up for my free masterclass first web, and we're gonna have a blast together. It's gonna be 3 hours. It's totally free. You get a workbook, you get a meditation, you get a little bit of this and a little bit of fun. Anyways, so back to the actual topic at hand, neurodivergence. So here's the thing, right? Now, the thing about neurodivergent people, and this includes ADHD, autism reminds me of that reel that kid has where his sister goes like, my brother suffers from autism, and he goes like, I don't suffer from it, I just have it. Or whatever else, right? But it's basically like these two types of brain. So just like look at this. This is a vase, right? A vase, however you pronounce it. And so is this. This isn't, I'm not going to say you're a right one and you're a wrong one, right? I'm going to be like, they just have different shapes, but they both are under the same category. That's exactly what ADHD or neurodivergence versus neurotypicalness is. It's two ways of functioning, and they're both very important, and I'll tell you why. Now, neurodivergent people, their brains process information in ways that don't conform to societal expectations. Why can't you just fit in? Man, because I can't. I'm built different. This is, by the way, this is exactly a representation of that. I'm built different kind of energy, right? They're always like, why is this thing the way it is? Why do people blindly follow rules? Why do people think this way? Why do people feel this way? They're so curious. And if you ever met a neurodivergent kid, here's the tell. They will ask you an insane amount of freaking questions about everything. They'll be very touchy-feely, very kinesthetic, or they're gonna just want to know about everything. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? What is the purpose of this? Like why? Very why-centered. Neurotypicals, on the other hand, they tend to be more attuned to social norms because their brains are wired to prioritize social cohesion. Now, people who that neurodivergent folks are questioning, which is that why do you just follow the rules like that? Those people who are following those rules, now neurotypicals, their brains are wired to prioritize social cohesion. So it's like biologically, they're driven to fit in the society. They're programmed to see, oh, if I fit in, it's going to be valuable. Because historically, their survival depended on fitting in. Herd mentality was evolutionary because if you were in the group, you were protected, you were safe. But here's the thing about neurodivergence, right? And this is my next, like, when I read this, I was like, what were the ADHD folks doing then? Because they're the people who go like, I'm not here to fit in. I don't care for fitting in. When they unmask, when they like, like heal from like the whole masked, that's okay, whole other debate. Now, for neurodivergent people, their wiring often leads them to focus on patterns, on nuances, on logic rather than just the accepted way. They'll be like, Nate, explain it to me, talk me through it, walk me through it. The accepted way can feel illogical or even suffocating. Nailed it, ChatGPT, nailed it. Because that's so true. Like, if someone just like complacency frustrates neurodivergent people because they're like, no, I will not be a cog in the machine. I want you to explain this to me logical. I don't want to do this thing just because you told me to. And I feel like that's one of the biggest reasons why I've made the decisions in my life that I have. I have this insane curiosity for human behavior, for neuroscience, for spirituality, for the quantum, for everything that I've learned because I'm like, I want to know, bro. I want to know. I'm a nerd for the knowing. Now, why is it that neurodivergent people might lean towards the spiritual more easily? Now, spirituality, obviously, it's a broad term, but I've noticed that a lot of the friends that I've made or a lot of teachers that I've learned from in the spiritual community or whatever, they are. What's crazy is that when I was walking up to here, I was thinking, man, I should definitely grab my water bottle. Guess what I didn't do? Grab my water bottle. Anyways, they have been neurodivergent people. And now I'm not one to say that, oh, you should tie yourself to a label or whatever. For me, understanding neurodivergence is the opposite of that. It's just understanding, well, what are the advantages that I biologically have, right? And then utilizing it, right? So neurodivergent people, heightened sensory awareness. It's very easy for them to see connections where other people don't. So they'll notice connections, they'll notice these patterns, they're more in tune to energies. Oh my God, like wallahi, bro. When I speak to somebody, and it's crazy because I've always been this way, but I would suppress that intuitiveness of how I felt energetically because I didn't know how to work with it or understand it. And now it's like I can talk to someone for 10 minutes and I'm going to know, is this person well-intentioned? I will call it, right? One of my friends, she started dating this guy this one time. I spoke to the dude for 10 minutes and I knew they were going to break up. And I knew exactly how they were going to break up. It's crazy. And obviously I told her, I was like, listen, like this, I'm just not getting a good vibe from him. And I was like, this is the thing. This is what I think as a coach. And I completely gave her logical reason, right? But obviously it was her journey. And then eventually they did break up and it was exactly how I thought they would. And I'm not what, like, I never told her at that time that that's how they were going to break up. So then after they broke up, I was like, called it respectfully. Point is, if you make me meet someone and I tell you that they're bad news, just trust me. Believe me, girl. Believe me. Anyways, questioning and curiosity, right? So now neurodivergent people, they have a natural tendency to challenge why the world works the way that it does. And this can push them to explore deeper truths, which includes spiritual and philosophical ideas. Because they're going to be like, why does this happen that way? They're not complacent, right? So they're not just following because they've been told to follow. They're like, I need reason. And in their quest to find reason, they will learn the coolest shit ever. The most fascinating people I've ever met are neurodivergent people because they are little fun fact machines. They are like fun in a purse. They're like a fun packet of fun, bundle of fun. They will always be up for random shit. They'll be like, frick it, let's dance. They'll do anything. They will have the most insane amount of knowledge and information about the randomest things. Jellyfish don't have a brain. Or like, oh, the sun produces more energy in an hour than everyone on Earth combined does an entire year. A neurodivergent folk told me that. So they're curious. They're information machines. They're fun. They're divergent. I'm out here trying to sell neurodivergence to you guys, but I'm just so excited to share this. At this point, I'm just recording this because I love sharing. I just came across this and I was doing something completely different when the idea to research this came to me. And I was like, ooh. And then as I did, I was like, talk about this. Rejection of this is a big one, right? Neurodivergence often comes with feeling out of place in traditional societal structures. Neurodivergent people, they don't fit in. And even if they're pretending to fit in, which I have, full disclosure, internally they don't. If you don't fit in the mold, you're more likely to step outside of it and start exploring. Hello, spiritual awakening. That's what happens. It's that they're not there to be like, sure, I'll do that thing because everyone's doing it. They're going to be like, no offense, with all due respect. Introspection as survival. And then many neurodivergent people are forced into self-reflection early on because they're constantly being told they're different or wrong. That's such a big one. I literally had a woman come to me, right, the other day. And I have had so many clients come up to me like this, where they come up and they're like, and I was a person like that, but they come up and they go like, I'm very impulsive and I don't think before I speak. And like, I finish every task that I have right before it's due. I'm driven by a sense of urgency and I just don't think about the world the way that most people do. And I'm not able to be structured and I'm too like basically they describe the DSM, what do you call that, diagnosis of ADHD, and then they're like, can you fix me? And I'm like, have you ever? But it's like, I think once you're a neurodivergent, you have this radar. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like you can pick it. You can literally be around someone for 10 minutes and be like, so should I let them know? So point is that these people are usually the reason they come. And the reason I often wanted to seek help whenever I did was because I was like, what is wrong with my brain? I have a broken brain. I was literally like, where's the complaint department? Where can I file a complaint with God? Because I did not get the brain that everybody got. I was always feeling like I'd be in school and the class would be going on and the teacher would explain something, and because they didn't write it on the board or whatever, it didn't make sense to me. And I was like, I don't know what just happened. And I would go to my friends and I'd be like, do you understand what she said or what he said? And can you explain it to me? And I always felt like I was just lost. Unless I was really interested in a subject, my brain just said, F you to it. F you, F off, don't talk to me about it, don't care, don't want to know type of energy, right? And it felt just like such a losing battle. I'm also hungry, so I'm gonna just quickly go and put some stuff in the air fryer, BRB. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. I forgot my water. Times I just want to set my birds free, man. Just like, but I love them. Anyways, so neurotypicals and norms, right? Now, neurotypical brains, they're optimized for social structures. Understand this. It's a difference in brain structures, right? It's a difference in brain structures, right? So I'm gonna talk really softly because every time they hear me, they're louder. It's like they have bad ears. Neurotypical brains, they're optimized for social structure. So they will follow the norms because they have an innate, just like ADHD people have the innate desire to say F you to the norm. Neurotypical brains have the innate desire for belonging. So they're polar opposites in that sense, right? Their wiring is tuned to fit into that group, to fit into the group. Standing out feels like a threat to their safety. Imagine that. They cannot biologically just, it's easier for a neurodivergent to take risks and stand out and just say whatever, blah, blah, blah. It is the opposite for them. And then cognitive comfort. Following the norms creates a mental shortcut. Less need for constant critical thinking for them. So why would they question a system when it's working for them? Well, the plan's been laid out. I just got to follow it, right? And then reinforcement loops. Society rewards norm followers, promotion, social approval, stability. Everything is easier when you don't rock the boat. People will be set up for life that they'll get this job and the promotion and they're like it's like, oh, do this, get like, a retirement plan and retire. It's all laid out. And then come the neurotypical and neurodivergent, they're like, I don't want this plan. I create my own plan. Can you bird shut the fuck up? Now, can we prove this? Not by a study, not through a study, but there's no specific study that creates this link, but studies on creativity and divergent thinking says that neurodivergent people are more likely to think outside the box. So if this is a box, there's a jellyfish on my hand, please ignore that. But if this is a box, which it is, this is a neurotypical person. I could have used paper, by the way. And this is a neurodivergent person. They're outside the box. They don't think outside the box. They live outside the box. Come on, man. Level with me. Societal rejection studies. Neurodivergent people are more likely to experience rejection, which can push them to seek meaning outside societal systems. The rejection because they're different. Rejection because they're weird. Rejection because why are you like that? Because they're not like everyone else. And that's what makes them so darn special. And it's a thing that took me a while to learn to love about myself, that I don't fit in. And that's great. I don't do things the way that most people do. I am loud and I'm weird and I'm, like obsessive and I'm energetic and I'm all of that. And I'm like childish and also smart, mature. And that's who I am. I think people who are neurodivergent, when they learn to unmask, they're just very unafraid to be their total selves. Those freaking birds are unafraid to freaking shout. And I'm gonna punch them if I didn't love them so much. Anyways, so when they integrate that whole rejection thing, then they're practically unstoppable. And I think, and that's my personal opinion, but I think if neurotypicals learn to be authentic in life, they would be a little happier and not have up their butt. I'm just joking. Some studies suggest that people with ADHD or autism have heightened activity in areas of the brain linked to intuition, pattern recognition, creativity. They're freaking creative. Did you see my vision board? Creativity. But here was the big question. Because remember here it said, because of historically survival depend. What was that big mouse? Ooh, I like that. Historically survival depended on it. Over here, did neurodivergence not exist in history? Totally did. Neurodivergence is not new. It's just that the language for it is back in the day. Be right back. He's back. The neurodivergence did exist in history. And these people were just called weird. They're just fancy words for weird. I just gave them food. Why are they yelling? Why? God. Shut them the fuck up. Amen. Evolutionary, these people had a role. Their brains may not have been wired for social cohesion in the same way as neurotypicals, but that's exactly why they were valuable. They were the innovators and the inventors. While the group focused neurotypicals, they were following established routines. They were hunting the same way, gathering the same berries. Neurodivergent people were like, wait a minute, what if we tried this? And so their traits created innovation. Their traits caused people to discover new ways of doing things. And it's so fascinating the way that both of these brains play such a crucial role, even in today's society and even back then. They were the outsiders who observed the bigger picture. They were often the ones who on the fringes of the tribe, not because they were excluded, but because their brains thrived in solitude and deep focus. Autistic traits like hyperfocus and attention to detail meant that they might have been the pattern recognizers. They were tracking the weather, they were studying animal behaviors, they were observing seasonal changes. ADHD traits meant they had a wide attention span and they were excellent scouts, they were explorers, they would notice things that others would miss. Because remember, ADHD is not a lack of attention, it's that you have a lot of attention, you have all the attention. You're tending to everything. They were visionaries, they were healers. I'm gonna cut this short because these birds been birding and I'm gonna go play with them. But basically, for the majority, social cohesion was a survival mechanism. So safety in numbers, sticking together in a group meant protection from predators. Division of labor, people who followed rules and stuck to routines kept the tribe functioning. Reproductive success, fitting in and being socially acceptable made it easier to find mates and reproduce. Neurodivergent people, by contrast, may not have been wired for groupthink, but their unique contributions benefited the group as a whole. So here's neurotypicals. They're keeping the group together, and the neurodivergent people who are innovating and making the norm just better, making life better. And I think that's really beautiful because if there were too many neurotypicals, the tribe stagnates, stuck in outdated methods. But if too many neurodivergents, tribe fractures because no one's prioritizing cohesion, right? So they create balance together. Neurotypicals ensure stability. Neurodivergence drive progress. And so I think it's pretty cool to understand these two types of brains from this lens because from that, the more you understand the way your brain is wired, because remember, it's just two different softwares. It's not a good or bad thing. You just get curious with it. Well, how is my software installed? Instead of, the example I love giving is, for example, if a neurodivergent brain is coded on the software of freaking Mortal Kombat. So I have Mortal Kombat in my brain, and a neurodivergent, neurotypical person, let's say, has freaking FIFA installed in their brain. Now, the Scorpio from Mortal Kombat could be so great here, and he could get in a fight with Sub-Zero and freaking kill him, right? He could ace that shit. But if he goes on a playing field, like a football in a FIFA game, he might not even know what to do. And similarly, Ronaldo could be so great there, but just, did I just say Ronaldo and not Messi? Cardinal sin. It's the influence of some people in my life. Messi could be so good at FIFA, right? But in Mortal Kombat, he just might not know what to do, right? He'll get beat, bro. Like he will get beat in a minute. So instead of trying to get your Scorpio to play in FIFA and thrive, or trying to, well, yeah, like neurotypicals don't try to be neurodivergent, neurodivergents do. So instead of doing that, get curious with the ins and outs of your brain. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna tend to my birds now. Love you. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.